Thanks for inviting me today to share with you a little bit of what I've been doing with the WordPress for Toastmasters project. I can explain what it is and how it came to be, give you a little bit of context that I hope will help you understand how to use it a little bit better. This is me. This is how you find me on LinkedIn. If you do find me there and you want to connect, it helps to let me know how we met each other. I'm more likely to agree to that connection if you do that. And so the project that I've been leading, there are two related things. WordPress for Toastmasters is the software project, and that is where you would go to find the documentation about how to do various things. And then Toastmost is a service. So if you know the technology industry, there's this concept of software as a service, products like Salesforce.com, where instead of buying your own server and setting it up, you just subscribe to that access to that software. So it's a similar sort of thing that I tried to do, where I've taken the software that I'm going to be discussing and I have it pre-configured. I take care of some of the back-end administrative details and hopefully make it a little bit simpler for people who aren't necessarily super technical to get started with running one of these websites. Now, the thing about WordPress is it has a model for extension. WordPress is a web publishing platform that was originally invented by bloggers, but there is a way that you can add on additional functionality, like functionality for managing a calendar of events, or in the Toastmasters specifically, mechanisms for being able to sign up for meetings, meeting roles. So if you're going to set up one of these websites on your own, you would get a couple of plugins and you would get this theme that makes it easier to add the WordPress branding, not the WordPress branding, the Toastmasters branding. And it is somewhat optimized so that it will reformat for display on a mobile device as well. And the reason I invest in WordPress is that it is a web standard. It's used by a lot of publications, including Forbes and Time Magazine, The New Yorker, a lot of corporate websites, marketing websites also will use WordPress. Now, these are WordPress sites with million-dollar designs behind them, but it's accessible to people at every level, and it's used for a lot of small business websites as well. So when I became a club officer, I inherited a website that looked something like this. This is the free Toast host platform that Toastmasters makes available for free to clubs. And my reaction to it was sort of, do we have to use this thing? Is it mandatory? Because there were things that I wanted to do to market my club, to be able to show off how special we are, that were awkward to do within this framework. And so we moved to something that looks more like this, that could include video content, could include some social media engagement tools. And because it is based on a blogging platform, it's easy to add an article about something specific. So here's a blog post talking about one of our members winning a contest. So we can put this out there as a way of promoting them. We can then cross-promote that on social media. And this is a blog post from 2016. You can still find it on our site. So if this speaker wanted to go up and look up her old speech, see her old speech video, she can come to our website and find it. And also, by doing this, over time, you build up a body of information. It helps you with search engine optimization, and it also helps people who visit your site see that this is a club that has a lot going on. And you can see it a little bit better if I look at the live site. So there's our current president, went to the district contest. Some photos, a testimonial video, recent blog posts. Now, Online Presenters established a worldwide membership. It's now the largest and most successful of the online-only clubs. And we did this, we had to do it by necessity entirely with online marketing to outreach to people and to connect. So, I have members from my area in South Florida, but I also have members from Australia who sign in as lunch break for what's an evening meeting for us. We have some introduction to what you can do as a visitor and some of the workshops that we have, trying to introduce basically how to engage with this club, information if you're interested in joining, some tutorial content. And then we have all these workshops that we've done about, one of the recent ones was about how to run a hybrid setup. So as the COVID crisis subsides and people get back to meeting in person, they may have some people who for health reasons don't feel comfortable meeting in person. So we did a workshop on that, about how do you mix online and offline attendance. So a lot of rich content. And as I say, part of what I want somebody who comes to this website to see is that this club has a lot going on. And this is probably the club that I want to join. You're competing with the other club down the street, but more than that, you're competing with indifference, with people who don't understand what Toastmasters is. So what I did is I took the WordPress base and I tacked on some functionality to allow you to sign up for roles. And hopefully you've been signing up for roles, you've been signing up to speak. So we have those things built into the site as add-ons. We have the concept that you can email out the agenda relatively conveniently. So you just pick agenda, email, you get this form where you can add a message up top, you can customize the subject line. And this is a mechanism for reaching out to people and asking them to help fill up that agenda. And this is what it would look like in Gmail. So now we've made a little bit more progress. The meeting's not completely devoid of anybody having signed up for anything, but we have a few more roles to fill. And here's the link you're going to click to come in and sign up for those roles. So trying to close the loop about getting people coming in and being active in the club. And there's what we're trying to do is have the same data have a few different personalities. So there's the sign up version, there's the email version, and then here's a version that you can print. Now, one important concept to understand that I think people get confused about is the difference between being on the front end of the site, which is what the public sees and where you sign up for roles, and being on this back end dashboard. So there's navigation at the top of the screen and also in this little widget on the sidebar. We can go directly into our member profile, and this is where you can tell us a little bit more about yourself. You can change your password. Try not to make your password 123, because we don't want this to be an open invitation for people to come in and hack the website. So try and you don't have to make it quite that long string of gobbledygook, but don't make it your dog's name either. Now that dashboard looks a little bit different depending on your role within the club. So this is the regular member dashboard where you have a few links down the left. You can go to your profile, again, to update your details about your name, your contact information, change your password. And then there is a Toastmasters menu here. Down the middle of the page, we're seeing sort of a summary of kind of the most important things you might want to do, like sign up for the next meeting. But there is also this section where you can go in and you can see your progress. Now, this is basically data that's gathered from the agenda. So I can see how many speeches I've given in this club. I can also see a listing of all my speeches. And assuming I've gone in and put in the details like the title, I can go and track down a speech that I did several months ago. Now, if you're signed in as the administrator, the menu gets a little bit more complicated. And I do think that this is where I lose some people. because there is a trade-off. You sign up for that free Toast host experience. I think it's very limited, but it is also designed specifically for Toastmasters clubs. You know, WordPress as a whole is a general publishing system that I've added on features to support the Toastmasters functionality. And if you turn on various optional plugins, then you get even more menus added to the sidebar. So there are all sorts of optional plugins that I have made available for various social media sharing functions, things like taking a poll. In fact, when I looked at this to take this screenshot, I realized I had a bunch of things turned on that I didn't really need anymore. So I turned those plugins off. They were for a specific function. I think somebody did want to take a poll through the club website. So you can try and make it simpler. And one of the things that I am doing outreach for is that if there are other people who have programming skills, who have design skills, who have writing and training skills, I'm looking for help too, trying to make this experience simpler, easier to understand, providing better documentation and training materials. If anybody wants to volunteer for that, please get in touch with me. And then here are some of the ways that you can follow up. So we booked 15 minutes on the agenda. I wasn't quite sure how much of this I would make my way through. If you'd like to ask me some questions, or you'd like me to show you some things on one of these live sites, we have a few minutes, we can do that.
Okay. What we've done so far is I've set up the agenda and the way to sign up for roles. If maybe you could just go through that, and then I know that there is a capability where you can sign up for multiple meetings in the future. Just a couple of things that you would do if you're brand new to the website.
Okay. Yeah, it's good that you clarified that, because there's sort of a difference between what you do when you're brand new versus what you might want to do if you are the person who's setting it all up. So here I am logging in to the Club Awesome website. And so, just to keep it simple, take a role, you click, and it confirms that you've now taken that role. If I come back to this page a little bit later, let's see. Oh, okay, so now it shows that I have this role. I want to take myself off the agenda. I would click here. If I'm the Toastmaster of the day, and somebody just called me up and they said, I can take that open slot, could you just put me down? So you, as the organizer of the meeting, can come in and unless Daniel has this feature turned off, you can go in and you can assign other people to these roles. And there's reserved ask VPE or to be announced. There are a few little statuses here for just little placeholders where, for example, it sounds like it's not the problem your club has at the moment, but if you have a very large club and people are signing up to speak many weeks in advance, you might want to have the VPE hold open a speaking slot for each meeting so that a new member who just signed up is able to get on the agenda. So you might want to manage some of that a little bit more manually. You have the option to do that.
And David, if someone signs up to be a speaker, isn't there a way that the evaluator for that particular speaker can bring up the evaluation for whoever is speaking?
Yeah, let's see. Let me get out of this editing mode. So yeah, part of running the online club was thinking through what processes could we do online a little bit differently. So I see that Mark has signed up for this speech, and there's a link right here to the evaluation form. Now there's a way to get to this through the dashboard as well, but through the agenda is probably the most convenient way. And so, oh, he didn't specify what speech project, which is why it's not showing me. Oh, it's giving me the option to record a generic evaluation for him.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, let's see, let's look at this one. So here, this is basically the same thing you would get in the Pathways PDF. You excelled at, you may want to work on to challenge yourself. Those are just open text boxes. And then it asks you to rate people on these different things. So this, if I've got it set up right, should be exactly what you would get on the Pathways PDFs. You fill this out, you click submit, and it gets emailed off to them. It also gets saved in the system. So I can actually see the evaluations that I've received. Well, what usually happens when I give a demo is something doesn't quite work, and that's the one for this time. Yeah, I don't know why that's not working. Anyway, you know, if I've taken up more than 15 minutes now, if you'd like to go on with your meeting, you know, I could stick around for a few minutes afterwards and answer a few more questions. But you know, this is, you know, essentially the story is I created this for my own use, my own convenience, and then I looked for a way of sharing it. I mean, actually what happened was a member of my club went off to a district meeting and started bragging about the website to other people and saying, you've got to get David to set this up for you. And then I had to figure out how to make it available to other people. And that's what I've been doing ever since. So thank you, Daniel.
Wonderful.